Hey, how you guys doing? It's Mason, aka SiNAR 2 and 2, coming at you from Generation Gamers with a special video game review. We're going pretty far back here. It's going to be a series of games in this survival horror franchise. I'm pretty sure you guys have played the new games, especially for you new gamers, just kind of give you an insight of where these games all began. So I'm really excited to be doing this review, especially for the other ones. And today we're going to be reviewing Resident Evil for the PlayStation 1. Resident Evil came out in March of '96, originally for the PlayStation 1. There's a couple versions, but I think everyone's more familiar with the director's cut, which made the game a lot harder to play. We'll start on the controls. The controls were, at the time, I guess you could say they were a little goofy because there's preset camera angles along with the pre-rendered backgrounds. You had, turn left, right, aim, up, down, shoot, and that's pretty much it's simple controls. So, but it was kind of goofy with the movements and stuff like that. This was, I would say, one of the games that I knew a lot of my friends' parents wouldn't let them have, so they'd have to sneak it in or play at a friend's house and play because this game was pretty violent at the time and it was seriously scary. I remember playing it myself at an old friend's house, including Resident Evil 2. I had nightmares. I remember I stayed the night at his house and I'm like, man, hey, can you sleep with the TV on or the light on? It was that scary for me. As for the graphics, as you can see, they're dated now, but the game itself still has that terrifying feel to it. I mean, this would, to me, my opinion, this is what birthed the survival horror genre. I'm pretty sure there's more before that, but this really redefined it. Um, because you got these hordes of zombies coming after you, mutated animals and insects, and there's not really a lot of ammo to go around, not a lot of health. So you literally pick and choose on whether you want to fight the enemy in front of you or, to run off and escape. As for the story, I ain't going to dwell too much on it because we'll be covering it throughout the other games. The games just pretty much starts as there's Claire, I mean, not Claire, I'm sorry. There's Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield. You can play either or. It starts out I'm sorry, Jill and Chris are part of STAR's Bravo team, an elite task force who go into the woods to find Alpha Star's team. And when they get there, that's when all hell breaks loose. They get chased into this mansion, and that's when they start finding all these horde monsters. And they notice that there was a leak, a chemical leak, from the inside of this mansion, which was owned by the Umbrella Corporation. So throughout the game, you're trying to escape this mansion and pretty much, escape alive and find out how the leak happened, and you uncover some other clues and some other mysteries too that I won't spoil for you guys. The sound was good. It was definitely creepy, especially with the preset camera angles. The camera would be set in the corner, and you might not see what's in front of you, but you could hear a zombie groan or moan or shift his feet, and you're like, oh shit, what is on the other side of that? And that's what was really terrifying Resident Evil was the camera angle. Now with the different games like Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6, which we'll get to, it is a lot different. It's more got that action in there, but we'll get to that later. This one was it was pure tension, pure horror, and pure fear that you felt, and that's where I hope this franchise eventually goes back to. Now they've kind of just drifted more to the action genre. Um, as for puzzles, are some puzzles in the games I guess you could say for me they weren't too hard, but I know they did get a little confusing at times. But other than that, though, it's a straightforward game. You just gotta unlock doors, find these keys. There is a lot of back and forth. That was tedious in the game at the time. So if you try and play it now, just be prepared. It's a lot of back and forth. You get one key from one side of the mansion, then you go back to the other. There's also clues. Like I said, you try and figure out what happened in the mansion. There's clues that they're in like journal entries or diaries. I mean, yeah, same thing. Journal entries, diaries, or memos, or audio tapes, or video clips. And there was one famous journal entry that a lot of people might know from the Resident Evil fan base is the Itchy Tasty. And there's also another one that was actually pretty scary, and I might actually read that at the end of this review because it's pretty horrible. So, but other than that, though, the game is still awesome. Uh, it's definitely a scare, especially if you play the. I think the director's cut compared to the DualShock version. The director's cut actually mixed everything around, so it adds a lot more level of challenge to it. So, I guess what we'll go ahead and do, I'll read you guys that uh, journal entry called Researcher's Will, and this is how it goes. June 3rd, 1998. My dearest Alma, let me first apologize for not being able to call you. A man wearing sunglasses didn't permit any phone calls. Sorry, Alma. I sit here trying to think of where to begin, of how to explain in a few simple words all that's happened in my life since we last spoke, and already I fail. I hope this letter finds you well, and that you'll forgive the tangents of my pen. This isn't easy for me. Even as I write, I can feel the simplest of concepts slipping away, lost to feelings of despair and confusion. But I have to tell you that in my heart before I can rest. Alma, please believe that what I'm going to tell you is the truth. The entire story would take hours for me to tell you, and time is short, so accept these things as fact. Last month there was an accident in the lab, and the virus we were studying leaked. All my colleagues who were infected are dead or dying, and the nature of the disease is such that those still living have lost their senses. This virus robs its victims of their humanity, forcing them in their sickness to seek out and destroy life. Even as I write these words, I can hear them pressing against my door like mindless, hungry animals. Alma, I have tried to survive only to see you again, but my efforts only delay the inevitable. I am infected, and there's no cure for what will follow, except to end my life before I lose the only thing that separates me from them, my love for you. In an hour I'll have entered my eternal sleep where there is peace. Please understand. Please know that I am sorry. So that was called Researcher's Will, and I remember when I first read that, that was scary. Just how he was able to describe those horrid monsters, those zombies, pressing up against his door. Can you imagine just writing a piece of paper down in a small room and just hearing them, pressing against your door while it's locked and hearing these zombies moans outside your door. So, other than that, the game is still awesome. A little hard to play since controls these days are more advanced. You're not used to simple controls. I would definitely give Resident Evil 1 a 4 out of 5 for the score. Namely because the story's awesome. It expands into the other games that we'll get to. The gameplay is awesome and it's still terrifying. The sound is terrifying. The environment is terrifying, and the camera angles make it that much more suspenseful. So, I would definitely tell you guys to give it a shot. I know it's available on the PlayStation Network for the PS3. That is for I think it's $5 or $10. I believe it's $5, and give it a shot. Learn where the story began, and you guys might learn a thing or two, especially with the twists and stuff like that, especially if you joined in on just Resident Evil 5, 6, or even 4 for that matter. So, alright, you guys, the short little review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Gonna have another game for you guys next week, but we'll keep that a secret until then. Other than that, this is Mason, aka SiNAR 212, coming at you from Generation Gamers, and you know what we always say, game on.